Is it sharing the screen?
Yep. No, just on.
Hi.
Hey.
We're live.
All right. Let's see if there's who we've got. Join. It looks like we've got 6 people in. If you're in, Scott and Jen from Walk with History, say hello in the chat, just so we know that you guys can see us.
Thank you for joining us. Super cool. So we just wanted to kind of celebrate and say thank you and talk about stuff we have coming up. And if you had any questions for us to celebrate 20K, this is a big milestone for us. And we were really super excited to see it this morning and then to celebrate today. So
yeah,
thank you.
It's been exciting. So there's a couple of things that I was thinking about. And if you post a question in the chat, we will answer it. Mm-hmm. In fact, I'll say post questions here.
Fort Worth.
Hey.
We almost moved there.
Yeah, we actually almost did. Mm-hmm. So if you guys aren't super familiar with us, we've been doing this for, God, it's like right at 3 years now. Mm-hmm. I think right at 3 years, which I'm surprised we hit 20K in 3 years, because that's a big milestone for us. But Navy couple, we met in the Navy, and San Diego, and we've been moving around. I was actually slated for orders to come down to Fort Worth. And here we go. OS1 retired. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so I was at OI Divo on my first ship. So I had all USs. You got a soft spot for OSs.
Tennessee.
So
we are moving to Tennessee. So that's one of the upcoming things for us.
Yeah. Where's Macon County? I don't know where Macon County is.
Yeah, I don't either. We're just really familiar with the west part of Tennessee, because that's Memphis. Where we were 5 years ago. That's where we're moving back to, the Memphis area. So yeah, Fort Worth was what we were slated to go to. But if you know anything about the military, orders changed.
Yeah,
and we're going to Tennessee.
Yeah, so we were supposed to go to Fort Worth, and now we're getting out to the Memphis area. Yeah. So there's an old Navy base out there, and people kind of wonder, why is there a Navy base in Millington, which is outside of Memphis, Tennessee? So I guess a long time ago, there used to be a lot of air base out there. They used to do training, aviation training up there before they centralized everything down in Pensacola, Florida, where they do a lot of that stuff now. So
you were stationed in San Diego. We met in San Diego.
Okay. Yeah, JRB Fort Worth. That's where I was supposed to go.
Yep.
So that's what Will Sanders is saying there in the chat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was supposed to go down to Joint Reserve Base Fort Worth.
Yeah.
Supposed to go into command down there, but that ended up changing, which was better for us. And something that we were looking for. So Macon County is in northern Tennessee,
40 miles north of Nashville.
North of Nashville, right on the Kentucky state line.
Kind of by Hermitage. Yeah. Okay. So we'll probably be out there filming. Yeah. We'll let you know. We just did Meriwether Lewis, which is kind of south of Nashville.
About 45 minutes south of Nashville.
All new history now. So we're going to be Memphis Central, but we're going to be radius out to Arkansas, Kentucky, Missouri,
Illinois,
Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi. So if there's anything you're interested in, let us know, or anything you have an idea about some cool history out there, let us know, because we'll go out and explore it. We're in Norfolk now.
Okay. William. So William was in Norfolk. So yeah, we're leaving Norfolk right now. So that's one of the advantages of doing this with the military, is military will move us out. Kathleen Doherty, hello from Lancaster, Ohio. Hey, that's awesome. Lancaster, Ohio. Jen's a Penn Stater. Luckily you're joining us on the live stream.
I don't mind if you're a fan of Walk with History from Ohio. We actually have to go to Ohio fairly often because our family lives in Ohio. So, but because I'm such a diehard Penn Stater, it's very difficult for me to be anywhere near this school that shall not be named. And so going to that state is always a little difficult for me.
Yeah, but I appreciate you joining us, Kathleen. That's awesome. I love seeing kind of people joining us from all over the place. And so kind of going back to the origins of the channel, if you've been up with us for a little while, you may have heard this, but I actually started doing YouTube stuff in 2018, fiddling around doing family stuff. And then during COVID, Jen got the idea for a history channel, and it that's the very short version. She had started a Facebook page while we were in Memphis, and then from there.
And I think we've talked about it before. We were stationed in Memphis, and I decided to go back to school with the GI Bill, and we happened to be in Memphis. I went back to the University of Memphis to get the master's degree of history. And it was while we were there that I just started to make Walk with History on Facebook, mostly for my family and family members and friends who weren't, because we had moved there from California. We'd never lived in the South before. So just history of the South. And we talked about things that were very just unique to Memphis and things that our family would want to see. Elvis, Beale Street, Confederate statues, things along that nature. And it grew during COVID.
Yep. There's a lot of, it's been really interesting being one of those channels that grew out of COVID, because there's a lot of channels that either had already started and then grew more, or channels that started their, like, actually got off the ground for the very first time during COVID. Same thing with podcasts.
Yes.
The podcast started about a year after the channel did, after we got here. But when we started Walk with History, we just started the Pennsylvania area. We did go down to Ohio. We did some stuff in Ohio.
We did.
In the Cleveland area.
We did. That was our first kind of like real true crime.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, true crime is a big pull on a lot of history channels. And we did true crime. And this is where we're learning, right? We were learning to get our feet under us, and how do we do Walk with History. And we did a very overzealous Cleveland Torso Killer, where we went to like all the locations where the bodies were found, and then cemeteries, and it was a lot. And so we realized maybe you don't need to see every single location, and we need to find every single place. It's a lot to put together.
I'd be curious for those joining us on the live stream, kind of if you remember the first video of ours that you saw or that made you subscribe, because this 20,000 kind of milestone isn't just ours, it's yours too. So I'd be curious. I mean, if you remember, or if you have a favorite video or one that sticks out to you, put it in the chat, because that's always interesting to me. And I love, we tried live streaming a lot more for a while. We kind of went away from it because things got busy, but I love getting feedback from the community, whether it's comments on a video and stuff like that. So if you remember the first video of ours that you saw or that made you subscribe, or if you have maybe a favorite, or shoot, even another channel, put them in the chat.
Sure, because we've had, we're very community driven. So what you guys like and what you guys say, kind of, we tweak things based on your preferences and what you see. Hi,
Ooh,
Uncle Brian.
Colorado. Hey, it's family right there.
So let us know what you're interested in, what you liked, and what brought you on board. And this is a community. It's a history community. So I will say that we've had some really, really great.
Yeah, of course. Doug's going to say the Battleship Wisconsin,
because he's a docent on the Battleship Wisconsin. He gives tours. He's a former colonel in the Army.
Yeah, William said the Arlington National Cemetery is the first video. So that was one of our very first. That was one of our very first kind of real big videos. It was like our 10th video, but it gave us a signal that we were kind of onto something.
Very important video for me. It was something I really pushed at the very beginning because of Maureen O'Hara.
Yeah.
And it was because I knew Maureen O'Hara was buried in Arlington, and I couldn't find anyone on YouTube who had covered her. And so I thought this would be great for people to realize that Maureen O'Hara is in Arlington National Cemetery. We need to do this video. And there were other people I wanted to see and pay my respects to as well. So we put them in that video as well. But she was really the focal point of that first Arlington video. And I'm really proud. Every time, sometimes we go back, I'll stop and see her. I'll do a reel from her, because I really don't think she gets a lot of recognition for being in Arlington. And I want to let people know that's where she's at.
Yeah. And Doug mentioned Gettysburg too. So Gettysburg was some earlier videos as well, because again, we had lived in Pennsylvania. I was stationed in Pennsylvania for a couple of years. And so Gettysburg wasn't too far away. No. It's actually not too far away from us right now. We have another Gettysburg video coming out on Wednesday.
Yeah. And we were in Erie, Pennsylvania, and Strong Vincent is from Erie, Pennsylvania. And that's kind of who was big with Chamberlain at Gettysburg. He put Chamberlain, and he's to me, the hero of Little Round Top. And so we do that whole story, and that kind of, it all kind of fell together.
Yeah.
And it kind of kept leading. And then the podcast really just formed out of the YouTube channel because we wanted to go more in depth. How do you visit? When's a good time to go to Gettysburg? What can you see at Gettysburg? If I only have a day at Gettysburg, what do I see? If I only have a day at Arlington, how do I navigate and who do I see? And so that's kind of where the podcast grew out of that. Plus, I would visit historic places, Sleepy Hollow, for instance, and I would want to listen to a podcast before I went there. And I would want to hear the history before I got there. So it would just be very fresh in my mind. And so I thought this would be a great way if people were visiting places to listen to it before they go.
Yeah. So Ken Lane said, I can't remember the first one, but I do know I liked it enough I watched a bunch more right away. So I love hearing that, Ken. I really do appreciate that. Because that's the hope, right? Is the YouTube algorithm feeds it up to someone, and then you like it enough to go seek out some more. And so that's really encouraging. So I appreciate, Ken, that you putting that in there.
William, we haven't done Fort Sumter yet, and we haven't really done Charleston yet. And it's important to me to do Charleston too. I want to do the Nautilus. There's a couple of things that that are important to do down there, and we just haven't had the time. Because Walk with History is also family centered, and we have 3 kids. And so we work around their schedules and sports schedules, and Scott still works full time for the US Navy. It's one of those things that we try to fit it all in.
It's a balance for sure. It's a balance for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I see more people joining the live stream. For those joining, please feel free to jump into the chat.
Yeah.
This is a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
This is not us kind of talking. So if you have questions for us about kind of either how we started or where we're going, we have some exciting stuff coming up, or memorable moments for us. I will say one of my favorite things that we've done on the channel was actually this last summer when we kind of did our whole Western road trip, because there's a whole different avenue of history. And if you guys know, we're not one channel that focuses on one particular area of history.
Yeah.
There's certain topics that are obviously popular with most folks, whether it's World War II or the Civil War or something like that. And we love covering those topics, whether it's Band of Brothers or Masters of the Air, which is really popular. Have you guys seen Masters of the Air? Because it's really good. But that whole Western road trip we did, driving all across from Norfolk all the way across to Montana, and then doing Colorado and going up and down there, South Dakota, coming all the way back through South Dakota. That was really, really fun. And actually, that's a fun story for us.
Yeah.
The first time that Jen was ever recognized was during that trip.
So again, we talk about collaborations and how we really support helping others, reaching back, all history content creators. And we've had some really great history content creators support us, including History Hunters and
Whitdock Cemetery Tours,
but
Project Pass,
JD from the History Underground has been such a great supporter, and we've collaborated. And so when we were at Battle Little Bighorn, way out in Montana,
southern Montana, if you kind of picture it in your head,
and we drove to the farthest parking lot telling the story, and there somebody said, "Are you Jen of Walk with History?"
Yeah.
I'm like,
totally.
Really? That I get recognized in Montana at the farthest out parking lot in the Battle Little Bighorn, and he recognized me because he liked JD's channel and saw a collaboration, and he found us through them. So
it's just kind of a funny story. So William said, my maternal ancestors arrived in Jamestown in 1611. Wow. Yeah, we did some Jamestown, and we've done Colonial Williamsburg a couple times. Absolutely.
Yes, and Kathleen, Salem Witch Trials. I wrote my senior research paper on the Salem Witch Trials.
Yeah,
and I love them. I have been to Salem before I started the channel, but we need to film it.
Yeah, we need to get up there. That's a tricky one because that's logistically that's tricky for us. We've had this radius, and then we had one road trip. But Kathleen, that's absolutely one we would love to do. We could probably make a couple videos on that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
We were kind of in the area. Scott had gone to Newport for some training, and I drove the kids up, and we did Sleepy Hollow. We did Lizzie Borden.
Yeah.
We did the graveyard and Island Cemetery.
Oliver Hazard Perry.
Some kind of famous historical figures that are buried in Newport.
Yeah.
And again, you kind of have to pick and choose and how far away you can get from the base. But Salem, I'm Boston and Salem, we need to do those ones. So we haven't really hit a lot there. I did do John Adams's grave with the kids. So that was fun.
Yeah. And William, I actually have, so on my mother's side of the family, they're actually from Montana, in the Bozeman area. So I actually still have family up in Montana.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been back in God knows how long, aside from
the trip.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, my mother went to college up there and all that stuff. I grew up kind of visiting there and stuff like that. So Montana is a beautiful, beautiful part of the country. I've never felt, more just like in the wide open spaces than I did driving through there in Wyoming and
it was great.
South Dakota. It was just absolutely beautiful.
And again, like we took the kids and we podcast about each of those places. So if you are to visit and you're on your way, you can listen to where's a good place to park, what did you see, kind of the things we learned there. We kind of try to put that in there. So when you're driving, you can kind of know before you go.
So Jen, for those on the live stream right now, what was the first?
We did do Deadwood.
Yes, we did Deadwood. That was
awesome.
That was a fun video. So who was the first kind of person we met throughout the course of this channel, aside from someone we're going to talk about in a little bit? Who's the first person you met through the channel that you were just kind of like, I never expected to meet this person or as excited to meet this person? Again, special guest coming out in a couple weeks, notwithstanding, because we do, that's a really big announcement for us. We got a truly legit celebrity that we got to interview recently.
I'm not sure. Who are you?
For me, on the channel.
I do remember Ermie's daughter. So Gunnery Sergeant Ermie is our second Arlington video. We visit Gunnery Sergeant Ermie's grave and we sit.
He's from Full Metal Jacket,
Toy Story, Saving Silverman,
Voice of Sarge, yeah.
And we sit at his grave. I tell the story. I talk about him, and his daughter reached out.
Yeah,
and so she really liked that video.
She commented on the video. She said, "Thank you so much for making this."
We respect him, and we tell you how to visit him, and that was really neat. I think the other one for me as a historian was I had put together my graduate research at University of Memphis really fell into racial justice and researching lynchings. I got myself into the Mississippi Delta. And as I'm doing that research, I really researched the Emmett Till lynching. And I put that whole story together, which was a very difficult story to put together.
That was hard, even just for me editing. I remember
it's just a lot of different locations that are really non-existent now or only dirt road capable. And you really have to know exactly the areas, and you have to kind of investigate and find them out, and to drive 3 hours just to get there and then to spend that time investigating. It took a lot of trips and to put the whole story together. So we have a 3-part series on Emmett Till, and I put the whole story together, him visiting, his murder, the aftermath. It's kind of like,
and it was a great series. It was pretty popular for a little while for our channel, because
I again, just very primary sourced, legitimate. I try to keep secondary sources completely out of it and just tell you the facts and what has been researched by historians. Well, that last video, when I talk about the aftermath and Emmett Till being embalmed at the mortuary in Tutwiler, was it the son?
It was the nephew.
The nephew of the embalmer, the African-American embalmer.
He commented, say, "Hey, thank you for recognizing my uncle."
Because I give him credit. A lot had in the actual case, the white owner of the embalming mortuary funeral home had tried to say he embalmed Emmett Till, and he actually testified on stand that he embalmed Emmett Till. But the truth is he didn't. He didn't even touch him or see him.
Yeah,
it was an African-American embalmer, mortuary worker who did it, and I gave him full credit. And I say his name, and I talk about how he's the one who actually took care of Emmett Till's body. And so it was his nephew who reached out and said, even the TV shows didn't get it right.
Yeah.
Even the stuff didn't get it right that I was the first person to actually give him credit. And that, to me, as a historian, felt it felt, promising. And I felt
Well, and it's validating.
It's validating because it's a lot of
validating.
work. Any historians out here know it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of lonely work.
And so even the Wicked Pickle, which I love that channel name, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Watch you on and off, and I was surprised when I wasn't subscribed. So you did, and it says very informal but informed. I love that. Talking to a friend as a historian. I absolutely appreciate your channel.
She's sick, but she can't travel.
Oh,
and your videos, and that's the most important part to us.
Yeah, that's we love, like, our two things that are two kind of missions for this channel, and maybe a third one with something else I'm going to talk about a little bit. Our two missions is really to inspire people to get out there, and if you can't, we want to take you to the space and show you, what it's like to walk through Fort Necessity, where George Washington was. What it's like to walk through where the Battle of Little Bighorn happened, and really try to paint that picture. So I love that someone recognizes that, and thank you so much for sharing that with us in the channel. And that really means a lot to have you say that. So thank you, Wicked Pickle.
Yeah, it's just very validating. As historians, we spend hours in the archives, hours in the car, hours looking stuff up, hours making sure that everything you have this documented and you're in the right place. And so it just feels very validating when someone's like, thank you for doing that. It means everything to me to go to places by myself and to be standing there. And I'm like, okay, I'm here by myself. But I don't feel alone when I post it and people say, thank you for showing me that. I don't feel alone. I feel like I'm with all of you. And that really means a lot. So thank you.
Yeah. And it looks like Wicked Pickle for her birthday, got to go to Hollywood Cemetery, which is
in Richmond.
That's a great cemetery.
That's a great one.
We've been there once or twice.
Yeah, that has a lot
of presidents, a lot of history there.
A lot of
history there. So that's a great gift. That's super cool. Super cool.
So what do we have coming up?
So coming out, also we are a Marine family. So thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate that.
So I will be going to Normandy.
Yes.
For the 80th anniversary of D-Day.
So in June, Jen's got a big trip coming out in Normandy. So expect some France videos.
Lots of France videos. I expect to film Utah Beach. I'm going to film the cemetery there. I'm going to walk you through a lot of that history. And we'll be in Paris for a couple of days. I might throw some Paris stuff in there, but really it's D-Day that I want to focus on. And so just be expecting that. I might even do some lives from there so you can see what's happening at the time, because I expect some ceremonies, some wreath laying, and probably some dignitaries will be there. So expect stuff like that.
I mean, and we kind of don't know what to expect because this is
it'll be her first trip.
It'll be her first trip. I don't get to go. I got to work because we'll have just moved and I'll have burnt up all my leave. But I mean, I imagine there's going to be, some other fellow history creators out there. I think JD mentioned he's going to try to get out there.
JD will be there, and I probably, if anyone's out there, find me.
Yeah, we've connected.
Message me on Instagram.
We recently connected with World War II Wayfinder. So we actually have, if you see my shirt here, it doesn't say join or die. If you're familiar with the old Benjamin Franklin cartoon, it says history or die. So we're kind of in a soft launch right now of a project that we've been working on. Of a project that we've been working on called History or Die. And it's historyordie.org. If anybody's curious and wants to go check it out, you can get the same shirt like this. And it's what we're trying to do is create basically like a place on the internet for history creators to have a profile page. So you can go to historyordie.org and be like, hey, what are the other history creators out there? And we've actually got some really big names on board. We've got JD from History Underground. We've got, let's see, the Armchair Historian. That guy's got like 2.5 million subscribers. So we are trying to slowly build this historyordie.org website so that we can have one central place where if somebody asks us, hey, your channel's great. Who else what are some other great history creators out there? We're going to point them to historyordie.org, And then somebody, that's the one spot people can go find the internet's best history creators. And that's kind of the tagline of History or Die, is the internet's best history creators. And we use this one because we kind of love the concept of the join or die, right? Unity, right? A call for unity. And for us, that call is, hey, we can kind of call that, put out that call of unity by learning history, right?
Yeah,
and learning true history.
Historians, I always talk about, you don't get to spike the ball. It's kind of like someone else picks it up and carries it. Someone else picks it up and carries it. That is what is true about history content creators. We may overlap in some areas, but there are very few, I would say none, that are exactly the same and go nitnoid detail down into one specific area like other history creators do. So it's best to be all together so you can get that full picture. And history creators, history makers, history researchers are always building on each other's information and trying to get the whole truth out there. So that is what this whole thing is about. It's really a community coming together, supporting each other. One-stop shop. It's free. You can get on there. We've
got creators large and small, and we're kind of hoping it can be a place that is the rising tide lifts all ships, right? So if the armchair historian with 2.5 million subscribers says, hey, check out History or Die, there's other great history creators there. Even the folks that are smaller, like ourselves, or other folks that are even smaller than us that are on the site, that have good quality history content, can receive some of that attention, and we can all kind of help everybody grow.
Yep.
So that's a fun thing to do. Anything we sell through the site, we're going to put right back towards the site. We're not trying to promote ourselves through this.
These t-shirts are available.
These t-shirts and
cool.
coffee mugs and fun stuff like that. So this was a fun thing that we came up with that is kind of in soft launch phase right now, and that'll be kind of a slow burn. But
and we're coming up on our 100th podcast.
100th podcast episode.
Oh, hey, JD's on.
Oh, hey, JD.
We gave JD, we talked about you a lot, JD. Just like, how we collaborated and how it really helped us.
How we first met. Yeah.
And how we history creators like to support each other. So.
Oh, hey, Abel.
Thanks. And hey, Abel. So our 100th podcast is coming up, and we had Scott asked me, when was the time someone reached out to you that you were like, oh my gosh, that was this person. I had made a video and this person reached out to me and said, thank you for posting this. I'm a fan of yours. And I had to do a double take and say, is this really this person?
She thought it was like a fake account or something like that.
They're a fan of mine. And I have a little breadcrumb kind of behind me. So if you can kind of figure out, but that is who our 100th podcast is with.
Yeah.
And so it's
super cool.
It was super cool. They were very supportive. They wanted to be a part of it. They talked to us for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing. And so I am always surprised by this history community and people who love history. It really touches all people because history belongs to all of us. And I just was blown away by that support. Again, it's another validating thing when you're doing these hours of work and you want to make sure that your work is authentic and real. And then you're getting someone coming out and saying, I really appreciate what you do. I'm a fan of yours. And you're like, I'm a fan of yours. What are you talking about?
We were actually driving through Kentucky, doing some Hatfield McCoy kind of hunting and stuff like that. Yeah. And she said, oh my gosh, so-and-so just messaged me on Instagram. And it's pretty interesting. So yeah, thank you, Abel. Abel's been here since very early on, and she comments on all of our stuff. We love having you here.
And you give us a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
So we appreciate that, Abel. Anybody, like I said, we are always welcome to hear ideas. We've been really surprised by this. We have a kind of a subset theme that we do called Watch with History. And we compared the two True Grit movies. We did John Wayne True Grit 1969 and John Wayne True Grit 2010 with Jeff Bridges. And we compared them to historically, and we talk about the different cast members and who nails the part a little bit better than others. And that has been really rewarding to see how people have really responded to that and want to hear more. So we have more coming out.
Yeah, we have more Watch with Histories. We've been getting tons of great ideas from people commenting.
Yes. And so expect some more John Wayne.
Ooh, Buffalo Soldiers would be a cool one.
Buffalo Soldiers would be a cool one.
That's a good idea. With
And
the pickle.
Expect some more comparing historic movies that were remakes.
Yeah,
so,
we've the True Grit video kind of took off. I think it's close to 100,000 views now, which for an hour-long video is phenomenal for us. We were pleasantly surprised.
And we learned a lot.
We've got some great recommendations sent to us. It's like some of the ones were like Magnificent Seven,
Tombstone,
and Wyatt Earp.
The Searchers. We know it's my favorite movie of all time.
JD, we're a step ahead of you there, brother. We're a step ahead of you.
It's my favorite Western of all time.
I have a whole outline. We've got a whole. Yeah, you guessed one of the ones we already have kind of in production. 3:10 to Yuma.
3:10 to Yuma.
There was Ben-Hur was actually one that someone recommended because they remade that. I forgot they had remade it.
Yeah.
Which that would be an interesting one, which this one hasn't ever seen the original.
I haven't. It's one of those like, what movie haven't you seen yet? I haven't seen Ben-Hur.
Yeah. And if you're not familiar with
I'm always watching The Searchers.
With my family history that we mention every once in a while, I actually have my California side of my family. My great-grandfather was a prop master in Hollywood for many, many years. And I believe he didn't work on Ben-Hur, he worked on Ten Commandments.
He did. So his great-grandfather,
she knows more than I do about my family history.
Worked for Paramount Studios. He's head prop master for every episode of Bonanza, the Ten Commandments, Rear Window. I have a picture of Rear Window in my house of him setting the windows. Alfred Hitchcock, Rear Window. He's setting the windows. He did Some Like It Hot. He did CeCe DeMille, a bunch of CeCe DeMille movies. So Greatest Show on Earth. I have, again, Charlton Heston, Jimmy Stewart. I have the script here. So when he's writing stuff out to what he needs to make. So when we watch Ten Commandments, I think his great-grandfather made those props.
Yeah, we actually have there's a newspaper picture of him actually standing there with Charlton Heston,
putting the baby in the basket,
putting the baby in the basket in the river. In that. So it was a Time article that I found online, and there's a bunch of pictures that we found. So we'll have to do that someday.
So that Hollywood history, he's very connected to it, especially the Westerns. There's Michael Landon had signed some stuff to his family. We have pictures of Bob Hope with his grandmother.
With my grandmother,
And so he is very connected to the Hollywood history side of things. This is why we sometimes do Hollywood history on here.
But I love the idea of Buffalo, doing some Buffalo Soldier history. That would be super fun. That'd be interesting stories to tell there.
That would be.
So yeah, we've got some exciting stuff coming up, and there's so many people for us to thank. That whether it's JD kind of collaborating with us, and we actually, funny story, kind of behind the scenes story. If JD's still on, he'll appreciate this. But so we actually tried. We wanted to go see the courtroom where
the Lincoln
trial for the assassin kind of conspirators.
Yeah, the conspirator trial for the Lincoln assassination.
And so that's currently on. It still exists, right? They actually kind of semi-preserved it.
It's Fort McNair. Which is the fort in Washington, D.C. And they preserved Grant Hall. Yeah. And the trial happened on the 3rd floor.
And a couple times a year, they allow the public to come in and see Grant Hall. They like to let them do tours. So,
but even if you get on the base, you can go to where the scaffolding where the gallows were and where they were actually all hanged.
Yeah, we can't go in if it's not one of the public days.
Exactly. But that's right, like where the tennis court is.
But JD was going to be in town, reached out, said hello. We're like, oh, hey, we wanted to go up to Fort McNair. Let's go up there. And so we meet him. He jumps in our car, and then we're driving on base. And for some reason, there was something going on that day that the force protection level was higher. So they required military IDs from everybody in the car. And JD, unfortunately, at the time, like he didn't have a military ID.
Like that's rare.
Which is rare. It's not common. So something must have been going on. And so we had to kind of pivot, and we turned, and then we went and made our Arlington video, which actually ended up, being some great videos.
It's a great video, but we pivoted. We made the video. We collaborated with JD, and we made it work.
Yeah.
But JD has always just been such a supporter, and I just really appreciate that. And like, if we can ever do anything for anybody to support them, please reach out. Ask, I have no problems doing collaborations. I've gone to Arlington and made videos just for someone else who asked me to go to someone's grave and make a video. I have no issues doing that, especially if I'm already on my way up there. So
yeah, Wicked Pickle, you're not commenting too much. Don't worry about it. Comment as much as you want. She lives right around the corner from us. So what's your top suggestion for cool places to visit here, adding to my bucket list?
I would just say, go to the MacArthur Memorial.
That's a cool museum.
And if you haven't been to the Battleship Wisconsin, those are the two real biggies that you want to see in Norfolk.
Yep.
To see MacArthur Memorial and to see the history of General Douglas MacArthur, only one of five-star generals. That's pretty amazing. And then the Battleship is pretty awesome. A lot of history there. If you want to stay within Norfolk, if you want to start to branch out, then you've got to hit Colonial Williamsburg, Jamestown, Yorktown. Like you've got to hit the historic triangle.
Fort McNair.
Yeah. And so those are like, if you're going to be in this area, Portsmouth, I would say, I found.
What's the fort we visited that's over there?
It's Fort Norfolk over there as well. And it's Fort McMonroe.
Fort Monroe. That one's neat.
That's pretty cool. Robert E. Lee helped build Fort Monroe. It's where they held Jefferson Davis in prison after the Civil War.
Yeah, for a while.
Yeah. And so that's a really neat, you can see the cell.
It's a really neat fort. Just a lot of stuff outside. Mm-hmm. There's stuff inside if you want to do that as well. So that's a good, easy one. Mm-hmm. And Northwest Territory. That would be interesting. The battle over the Northwest Territory. I would love to get up to the Northwest more.
I know.
Right? Being a West Coast kid, I'm always partial to going up there.
We do have a lot to do still, and that's why Walk with History. It's never, you're never going to have a limit on all the stuff we can do and see.
We will there's more history than we can ever cover. So.
You haven't done MacArthur. You need to do MacArthur. It's free.
That's a good one. Yeah.
It's free to go into the MacArthur Memorial and do the whole museum. So it's there for you. It's very cool.
The Lee history.
Yes. So then you'll be very interested in Fort Monroe. If you're interested in the Robert E. Lee history, plus Arlington, Robert E. Lee history. They call it Arlington House now, but it was Robert E. Lee's home before the Civil War.
Yeah.
We do have some videos coming out about Robert E. Lee.
Oh, Kitty Hawk is a good spot. Yeah.
We need to do Robert E. Lee. We have done Robert E. Lee's grave.
Yeah, we have that recorded. That'll be coming out sometime in the next couple months.
Mm-hmm. And we have done Kitty Hawk, which is, definitely go to Kitty Hawk. It is super cool to see where the Wright brothers flew.
They mark out the path where the Wright brothers first flew. And so you can literally just walk the flight path, it's really, really neat. And then the monument, and they do a good job with the museum and like the model.
It's really neat. It's a cool place to especially if you're in the Outer Banks and you're looking for something to do, during the day.
Yeah.
It's a great place to go. That's also where we went to the Lost Colony.
Yes.
Which is Roanoke.
That was interesting.
Which isn't far either. And that's very interesting. And you can again stand in the fort of the Lost Colony. Like you can be in their footsteps.
Yeah, these are Englishmen that got here before the Pilgrims, right? So these are folks that got here before then.
Yeah.
So that was some interesting history. So there's so much out there. I mean, that was one of the things that part of me was getting excited. We mentioned at the beginning of this live stream that, William, who lives in Fort Worth, part of me was getting excited to go down there just for history, Texas history, and all of that kind of Southwest history that we could have done. And we'll still go do it.
We're still going to go do it
one day. But
John Wayne Museum,
JD mentioned the Searchers. Like we plan on getting out to where they filmed it.
Monument Valley.
That's going to happen. But we don't have that date set yet. So, but yeah, lots of exciting things. Keep an eye out for our video coming out in 2 weeks. Not this next video, but the video after with our special guest. I hadn't seen anybody kind of guess who that is in the chat. But that's a really neat one, and that was kind of like a hallmark moment for us. We kind of hit a lot of milestones with 20,000, subscribers, and our 100th podcast episode. So
we're so grateful.
Yeah, we really do appreciate what you guys have done for us. It's been a ton of fun. We've met so many cool people along the way, other YouTubers and this, that, and the other. Yeah, Mount Vernon.
We've done Mount Vernon. We haven't filmed
We
Mount
haven't
Vernon.
filmed
We have to film it. We did it with our family.
Yeah.
And it was chaos because it was a lot of family.
Yeah.
To film, we have to go back there and film it.
Yeah, we may this summer. We're moving, as we mentioned at the beginning of the live stream. So we may have a few weeks that we just kind of need to take off because moving is a lot. But trust me, we're in this for the long haul. As we mentioned at the beginning, as soon as we had this channel idea, I knew immediately that it would be successful. But I also said, okay, what's in my head? What's the 10-year plan? And so we're in this for the long haul, and we're not going anywhere because we love doing it. I love getting out there and exploring the places and doing the filming and dragging our kids along, which is a ton of fun. And I love sharing it with you guys.
Yes.
And I love when you guys comment on the videos. I love when you join us on the live streams. It's incredibly fun, and we just have an absolute blast. So hopefully we'll do some more of these these live streams in the future.
Here's to 20,000 more.
Yeah, here's to 20,000 more. Maybe we'll do something when we hit 40 or 50.
I remember when JD hit 100,000. I'll never forget, JD. I felt like I was with you. You were at Theodore Roosevelt Park in DC when you opened. You get a box from YouTube when you hit a button. Yeah, but it was just neat to see that and to be there. So hopefully someday we can be there too. Maybe I'll go battle a Little Bighorn again to the farthest out parking lot. But thank you, everybody. Really, we love doing this. We're not stopping. Give us suggestions. Thank you for coming along with us on this journey.
Yeah, and keep commenting, and hopefully we're inspiring you guys to go out there and explore, or at least showing you places that you've always wanted to see. So
thank you. Really, from the bottom of our hearts, we are grateful.
We really are. So thank you again. Give a high five to your fellow history nerds out there. And we'll see you guys on the next video and on the next live stream. All right. Take care, guys.